Yo, what's good, y'all? You dub back here again, here in 2019. Let's get it. Coming to y'all episode cuatro, number 4 of this Unfiltered series. Now you can see that I'm back to my regular background. I was mobile at the time of the last couple videos, including episode 3 of Unfiltered. Um, back to back. I plan on doing many segments of this series. And in case this is your first time, will be 3 other unfiltered episodes in a playlist. Check them out on my channel exclusively. Hopefully one day we can get to a podcast or otherwise. This is completely unvarnished, completely raw, 100% cutthroat, right to the point, bringing you a different perspective on how to think on these subjects, a perspective that you don't often hear or may never hear. You're definitely not going to hear it from the mainstream media, and you're probably not going to hear it from a lot of the online media. You're either going to hear some kind of bias or you're going to hear some kind of perspectives, but they all come back to, yeah, for the love of America and for the love of the West, and from a certain lens. I'm not gonna bring y'all that kind of lens. I'm gonna bring y'all a everyday, realistic, not just, playing to any kind of agendas. Just keeping it completely objective and neutral out here. And just calling a spade a spade. So, we're talking about modern feminism. Modern feminism, right? Now, I want to make that clear. That's what we're talking about. I don't want to hear, oh, the first wave feminists. Look, the suffragettes, even though there was issues and mainly for middle class, white women, whatever. We're not talking about them. We're not talking about the second wave who view that they need to get paid the same and things, the opportunities. We ain't talking about them. We're talking 2019, 21st century modern feminism. And I want to also make this clear. I got some feminist friends who I rocks with heavily, who love them, some of my best friends, right? And they're not man haters. They rock with me heavily. It's always been mutual respect. Nothing against it. Shoot, would have dated them too, because they cool like that. But, it is what it is. We see difference of viewpoints, different views. But I mean, that's just how I am with even most of those, like anyone who's closest to me. So I have no problem with disagreements. Sometimes, we just don't see eye to eye on certain issues, and that's cool. It's all respect, it's all love. But some of them out here is just wilding. Some of them out here it's ugly, it's cancerous, it's a straight tumor. All right. A lot of these so-called, because the ones I call feminists, I think actually are real feminists. They're actually feminine. They're women faux show. They don't try to be men. They ain't out here trying to compete with men. They just are about their shit. All right? And I respect them for that. But for the rest of these suckers out here, y'all ridiculous. Y'all cultic in this way. Let me start off with the thing. I know y'all have heard it. Toxic masculinity. Now, I remember having a good discussion with a friend of mine. It was one night. I was out at karaoke. And I was talking with her, and because she had on the, part of it on the shirt. Now I wanted to understand her perspective, where she was coming from, because at the time I just started hearing about this term, and I don't rocks with it. I opened up to her, I was asking her to explain, and she was talking about certain behaviors, and I was like, and I had been talking with other friends about this probably a few times over the last like 8 months, maybe a year before that, right? And so I was talking with her, and when she was explaining, I'm like, that's toxic. I don't like the term, as I explained to other people. Some guys tried to oh yes, toxic masculinity, yes, you're emasculating principles. It's like, you don't get it, right? Some women who believe masculinity is actually toxic. No, what y'all are talking about is hypo and hyper masculinity, which aren't actually masculinity, but you will see the difference of when I describe hypo and hyper masculinity versus toxic masculinity. The name alone, you're making it sound like masculinity itself is toxic. It is cancerous. It is poisonous. It's caustic. That's not the case. It's not the case at all. Masculinity is one of the most beautiful things on this planet, just like femininity is beautiful. Masculinity is essential in a number of factors. If you understand what masculinity actually is, which is a whole entire thing, but I'll address a few points when I in a couple minutes. Now, not only do I like the term how it's utilized, it emasculates men. It makes so that men are these predators, these dangerous creatures that I gotta be scared of it. Why the hell you be afraid of men? And in fact, women aren't really afraid of men. In fact, women like to have men around it because it protects men. Men check other men. Women, and the feminists that friends that I'm talking about, they cool with dudes. Love having me and all the men around them. So, this thing about toxic masculinity. So, you're talking about a culture. It's not a culture. It's like rape culture. Rape culture doesn't exist. Toxic masculinity is not a culture. It doesn't exist. In fact, men don't like toxic masculinity, hyper and hypo masculinity. Real men ain't about that shit. All right? So, enough about that, because that's a whole other thing that I'm not going to get fully in depth with, because it's not essential, just using an example. So what is hypomasculinity? Hypo means under. It's like hypothermia. It means you're too cold. Loss of, blood, heat, and all that good stuff. Hypomasculinity is overly effeminate. Now, I've said this time and time again. There are more masculine females. There are more feminine females. There are more effeminate males. There are more masculine males. And there's nothing wrong with that. But hypo is you acting more like a female than women do. I've met some dudes who act more catty and stuff than women are. No, women don't be acting as feminine as that shit. It is not even feminine. It's toxic femininity, if you want to call it that. They don't act like that. When women don't act like that, your ass shouldn't be acting like that. You're bitchy, you're gossiping, you're literally cutting and manipulating. Like all the negative attributes that people would associate with women, that's hypomasculinity. All right? In a masculine frame of reference, okay? We act differently from females, but if you think of those negative traits of females and put that in the traits of a guy, yeah, you know what I'm getting at. Hypermasculinity, that's that over aggression. That's that, ooh, I think I'm the biggest, baddest. I'm puffing my chest out like you do. You ain't shit. All right, you talking a big game. You always gotta do, bro, and all that nonsense that we've been. If you're a dude, you recognize all that since you were yay high. You feel me? Since you were a child, that's hyper masculinity. Real masculinity is about duty, honor, respect, loyalty. You feel me? Compassion. A man of action. Don't just talk that shit. Actually be about what you say you about, and then some. Actually have integrity, character, and other things of masculinity I can go on. Things that are praiseworthy. Okay? That's masculinity. Taking care of your responsibilities is masculinity. All right? If you have kids or a family, you take care of that family. You don't abandon it. That ain't masculine. Right? There we go. Now, moving on. Another thing that you'll hear, this whole equal pay. That mess out of here. It's been talked about a number of times. But let me, the stuff you will hear from people that talk about how women make different career choices, which is true. Comfortability. A lot of times women ain't willing to risk like men are willing to risk. That's factual. Probably for good reason, because a lot of this stuff is dangerous and whatnot. But here's the thing. Here's something that most people ain't talking about. How many women are willing to start a business? We don't have CEOs. Yeah, what businesses did you start? Were you willing to gamble and take the risk? There are some. I'm not saying there are no women who make business decisions, but how many women are willing to do it? How many women are willing to move cross country or across the world? How many? You got a lot of women out here getting all the degrees and whatnot. Right. What are the degrees that they're getting? The degrees that they're getting. And just because you got a degree, does that guarantee that you're going to be making money? How many women are willing to work them long hours? Now, I have friends who are females that work the long hours. But how many are willing to do that if that's what's required? How many are willing to fight for the promotions? You answer me those questions. You feel me? Equal pay. There is no such thing as equal pay. And actually, females around my age, my peer group, are out earning us guys for a plethora of reasons. So get that mess out of here. Get that. That's nonsense. That's nonsense. Also, there is clear sexist hiring that's against men. Because here's the thing. Without all the manual labor, well, we kill two birds with one stone. Don't generally have to pay as much in the long term. Because a lot of women have them, and it'll take time. I'm not saying that all women do this. Let's get it to it. Let's get it clear. But there are a lot, just generally known, that women don't usually work as many hours. Plus, if they're, unless they're sole provider, if they're together with another, guys generally have to be the sole provider. So you can cut costs there, as well as, well, we don't need a guy. Where do you see where guys generally are, by and large, the predominant workforce? Manual labor jobs, and there ain't that many of them. And every manual labor job I have, I see maybe one woman. One woman. A lot of times she's in a position of leadership, either because she's been there for a while or whatnot. But it's generally, or women who they're not there long. Facts. Just call a spade for what it is. So that equal pay nonsense is toxic. Toxic feminist rhetoric. Oh, we need more female politicians. Women don't want to be in politics. They don't want to. If you read, for example, Chimpanzee Politics, female primates will elect male leaders. Women don't want the shrapnel by and large. Yes, some women will be in these positions of power, but by and large, women don't want that. They don't want to be out in front. Women's power base is behind the support and pulling the strings in that regard. Let the man deal with the shrapnel while I have the power and comfort. That's how women have always operated, by and large, in societies. Don't blame me. Even when there was a queen, God save the queen, a bunch of male advisors. That's just the way it works. A lot of women are just like, nah, bro, I'm good. Even you could be like, I don't want it. They don't want that kind of responsibility and the stress that comes with it. That'd be crazy as hell. And women don't want that. Let's see. So we've dealt with toxic masculinity. We've dealt with the wage gap. We've dealt with female. Okay. Already mentioned about the CEOs start businesses, create and entrepreneurs, and you can run your own. Do that, but it actually takes gambling and risk, and a lot of women ain't about that. They want the safety and comfort. All right. Okay. You're concerned about influence. Women have always had. Oh, here's another thing. This historical myth that men have always. No, men were also slaves. Men were the cannon fodder on battlefields. Most men, at least 90% of men in history, have never had real social power like that. So you can get that myth out of there. Men have all this. Really? Really? That's why you have these witch hunts that can kill a guy just by sexual harassment accusation or sexual assault accusation. We're not talking about facts, because trust me, I will be the first. Anyone who knows me knows I don't play about that. Sexual assault, rape, sexual molestation. I can't stand it. I get instantly livid. But you need proof. And I'm huge about logic, reason, facts, and evidence. Okay? I'm about, God forbid, I know this is seeming like an actual American idea that Wonder actually is about. Innocent and true proven guilty? No. No, every woman's supposed to be believed. Come on, dog. And what about the males that deal with sexual assault and harassment? What about them? Let's leave them. You don't have the right to speak on women's issues. There's no such thing as women's issues. There are human issues. Anytime that it's a predominantly male issue, suicide, and workplace deaths, things of that nature that I could go on and on about. Oh, then it's a human. It's a human issue. But as soon as it seemingly slightly favors, potentially, women's victimhood, then now it's a women's issue. No, that's divisive and it's unnecessary. There's no such thing as a woman's issue. Women's rights. What is women's rights? Women's rights are human rights, and they call a spade a spade. I remember years ago, this is probably almost a decade ago, right? I was talking to a former friend and a young lady. Oh, young lady was wilding out here, right? But I was talking to a former friend, and I was simply saying, well, why not call yourself egalitarian or equalitarian? That's what I'm about. If you're actually about equality, then feminism itself is divisive. Why? I mean, look, if you want to be about that, cool. But if you're actually about equal, then why not say you're equal? Why make it that you're focused on women's issues? Women's issues. Why? It doesn't appear that you actually want equality. I'm confused. You know, a lot of this that women, they're so threatened. I mean, right? Here's a conversation I had with one of my feminist friends one night. And I was talking with her, and she was talking about how she pretty much feared walking down the street. I told her, yeah, I do too. I do too. And I explained to her, long story short, I explained to her. I said, I'm concerned about both men and women. For me, it's not sexist. I said anybody can come up behind me and attack me. That's when I hear footsteps. I'm paying attention. Even heel steps. I'm paying attention. You see what I'm saying? Because I, as a man, have a far greater chance of being attacked or robbed than a woman does. These are the facts. Look, as Ben Shapiro infamously says, facts don't care about your feelings. Right? This is the reality I have to deal with. You're concerned about sexual violence. I'm concerned about violence, period. Any kind. Any kind. It'll be this thing about women will be like, well, you're big, strong guy. Listen, anyone, let me tell you the truth. Because I've known women who are short as can be, but they command attention. No means no. If you let yourself be a prey, you present yourself as a prey and victim. It's the same thing as bullying. It's the same thing as a sexual predator, anything of that. They want an easy prey. If you don't make yourself an easy prey, sometimes you can start to fear God into somebody. You don't make yourself an easy prey, predators ain't gonna try you. Common ain't gonna try you. Now, I'm not saying shit does not happen. I'm just letting it be known. Also, don't put yourself in the position. I can wear whatever. But there's called a time and setting. Even men, there's a setting for stuff. I don't be just all out here having my shirt off all the time. I don't do that. I bring up about funerals and stuff. You don't go to a funeral or wedding in a bikini. There's a time and a place and a setting. My goodness. Gender roles don't exist. And I've said this. Gender is an inorganic, artificial, unnatural social construct. Like, it doesn't exist. Sexes do. You have male and you have female. Now, I know a lot of people don't want to hear that mess, but don't blame me. Blame biology. Mother Nature don't give a damn. Mother Nature is sexist, which is a whole other thing I can get into. The thing is, that's just reality. Also, this whole thing, men are so much, yes, naturally men, by and large, are stronger. But a lot of women got some size, and they got some strength to them now, to you. Stop this nonsense that, just because God's stronger. That don't mean shit. And a whole lot of people can't fight these days. A lot of folks cannot throw hands. I'll tell you that right now. But I can tell you, there are some women who can use their weight and use their size. We all know there's some bigger women out here. All right? I'm not saying they superwoman, but there's some women that got some size to them. They can put some, they can put some stomping. They can hold their own. See what I'm saying? There's more you can get into. But when I say toxic rhetoric, it's causing for just harmful discussions. It's causing for harmful mentalities that don't help us as people. It's making people out to be potential predators who aren't predators. It's saying that there's problems that don't exist and not and turning ourselves away from the issues that are actually here in 2019. Women, take responsibility for yourself. Take responsibility for your sexuality in the dating game. You are 95% the selectors. If you don't want a certain behavior to go down, then set parameters and set barriers saying this is not going to happen. Oh, I felt pressured into having sex. I'm not diminishing what you say, but listen, bro, it's been very simple. A woman has let it be known if she wanted to, have certain relations with me or not, or be in a relationship. You have a mouth. Use it. Speak. Speak up. You talking about female empowerment? Then be empowered. Don't feel that, woe is me. I can't really. No! Be an adult. It's the same thing I would say to men. Be an adult. We are different. But we all bleed red. We're all both human. We're both adults. Let's be adults. Speak up about what it is that you actually are about. Let me know your actual thoughts. And if someone doesn't respect that, well then yeah, screw that person and we got them issues. Then we address that one. Also have a backbone and say, no, this is what I stand for and this is what I don't stand for. Talking about female empowerment. I want female empowerment. I want empowerment for everybody. Unexpected one to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts on this matter. I know some of y'all have a lot to say. Please keep it civil. I don't want any foolishness. We can have a discussion, a debate if necessary. I doubt many folk will try to come at my head for this one, but it is what it is. My platform is an open platform for actual free speech. I'm not going to censure your ass unless you come with harassment. We don't play that around here. All right, y'all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night. Peace.